Alright, you know it's coming. Clone Farmer. Stage mainly consists of a strong Aurost, a Henry, and Mr. Mer. Lots of them, like a lot, which will all spawn after the base is hit. The main source of money are Salaboodles in the stage, but they're actually pretty strong as well. They could also sometimes block off status effect units. There's a couple of ways to approach the stage. You can lure, you can stack up units on starting enemies, and after several testings I decide it's probably best to sorta combine it too. For the lineup, the main core units are the Meat Shields, Octo, Tourist, and Jagando. The rest of the units are somewhat interchangeable, but I think non-Uber wise they're about the best choices you can get aside from Sweet Bros, which is an extremely limited cat. The Meat Shields don't have to be these three specifically, but you can use less if you want. This is kind of just an example. Dancer in particular is amazing for high damage bursts as well as the wave immunity. Thaumaturge and Super Cat are good for controlling the Aurost, and Super Cat can also potentially wave block as a bonus as well. Tourist is actually extremely good to stack up units at the beginning, as it allows you to keep Mr. Mer alive as long as possible by making your units miss. This also allows your main units to get as close to the base as much as possible on base hits so they can enter Henry's blind spot. Liberty here is just for extra damage. This one's probably the one you can exchange into most generic ranged attackers, things like Valder and such. Octocat, if you have freeze immunity talents on it, I'm very sorry for your loss. Octo getting frozen by Henry here can often be a blessing, as it became a stationary range wave blocker that won't move and die from Aurost. Now, the main idea of the strat. For the start off, you get the money off from the Salaboodles while you try to not damage Mr. Mer as much as possible. Try to use spammable easy to die units so that you can just stall Mr. Mer for money later. After killing off your cats, you can stall Mr. Mer with Weaken or Tourist Cat. Once you get enough cash, use Slow Meat Shield and start spawning your attackers, Thaumaturge, Octo, and put Tourist in to keep Mr. Mer alive as much as possible. If your units has fast attack start off like Liberty or anything that can just damage Mr. Mer too much, they might kill Mr. Mer a little bit too fast, so maybe don't go too wild on spawning it. Preferably have Mr. Mer alive all the way until the enemy base. You should also start spawning your fast meat shields once you get near the enemy base if you bring them. After the base hit, you kinda just spawn everything. If you realize that on base hit, Jagando or some of your other main units might get frozen by Henry or is getting pushed by Aurost, you can use your cadence to do something about that. There's not much else you can do here except to just spam and pray. Be careful of your cash though, but if you do run out of cash or if your main units died off, or both, you know, and Aurost is still alive, you can finish Aurost off by luring him back to your base. With luring back to your base, you'll be able to get some money off and you'll be able to have enough cash to spawn Jagando or some of your other main units for the Aurost, and you can kill it off before all the other enemies catch up with Aurost. Should you be able to get enough damage to do so, Aurost will die off and you're just left with Mr. Mer and Henry. You can still lose here though. Be reminded, there's a lot of Mr. Mers here. You could still intentionally get Octo frozen by Henry as a stationary wave blocker while your other units do the work. You can also time your fast meat shields like Rice Ball and Manic Eraser to stall the Mr. Mers, as they're usually synced up anyways. Should you play this out just right, you'll be able to get through just fine. That's about all, you'll win afterwards. Yeah, after the live stream I did yesterday, I couldn't let go of the stage and just wanted to get a proper strategy out for Jagando. I think it's mainly just the lack of damage for yesterday. I was playing too defensively and forgot that Mr. Mer stacking up means that it's getting harder to defend after the stage goes on for a while. It's probably better to focus more on damage bursts as much as possible instead of trying too much on focusing on just Jagando. And I also probably spent too much of my lineup slots trying to make rock work. It does cost much less to meat shield cash-wise than this, but it wasn't really worth the slot. Anyways, that's about all. Really haven't made a legend stage guide in forever, but I just felt like it for this one after my live stream yesterday. I'd say I've avenged my past self enough now. Oh, and I also beat the next stage already, though I'll probably stream Doron's chapter next or something. But yeah, that's all for now. Be seeing you next time. Bye bye.